big poppin'. Money in the bank coming, dropping a deposit. Having it my way, so I got these bitches watching. Steady getting to it, couldn't fit it in my pocket. Flexing everything, baby, tell me big poppin'. Money in the bank coming, dropping a deposit. Having it my way, so I got these bitches watching. Steady getting to it, couldn't fit it in my pocket. Flexing everything, baby, tell me what the topic.
What's poppin', everybody? It's your favorite doc tender, or maybe not. That girl Henny, and I am here to pour up your. Am I pouring up a hot shot? I don't even know what I'm doing. Anyway, the bar is open, everybody. And if you're new here, please be sure to like, comment, and of course, subscribe. Click the notification bell, select all so that you get notified whenever I do a video. And if you're a returning Mob Down Henny Gang member, now let's go ahead and pour this thing up, because I have been promising y'all that I was going to bring y'all this IGG on what was going on with the Idaho 4, right? And I was going to tell y'all how I was going to bring y'all some other cases. So let me ask you this. What if I told you that something simple that everybody has done, well, a lot of people have done and some people have not done, let me say that because a lot of people haven't done it, could be the very thing that solves a crime? Dun, dun, dun. Yes, I am talking about genetic genealogy and how they've used it in investigations. Baby, I want to just tell y'all what it is, but let me let me go over here. Let me come on over here to this video and let me put a poll up. And no, this time I'm not asking y'all if y'all have hit the like button, because I just know everybody has hit that like button. I know they have. I'm going to ask you a different question. Have you ever done a have you ever done an ancestry? Now, uniquely, I already know what your answer is. Okay. I know what you're going to say. And I know what a lot of people are going to say. Why can't I spell today? I want to know if anybody has done an ancestry test. In the poll. What the hell is going on? Okay. Somebody doesn't want me to put this in here because I'm having such a hard time. It won't post my question to y'all. Here we go. There you go. Boom. Poll is done. And I should have started this ahead of time, but whatever. Everybody take the poll, because as y'all are taking the poll, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to pour up on Bryan Kohberger or Kohberger. I keep saying Kohberger. Why do I want to call him Kohberger? Is it because of what he's done? Because I mean, it ain't like the man wasn't egregious. All right. Now, as we all know, I'm talking about investigative genealogy, or like I've said, it's called IGG, the same science that's behind all of these like ancestry tests. So you've got ancestry.com, you've got 23andMe, you've got myheritage.com, you've got African ancestry, you've got JED, or I think it's JED math or something like that. But these are the over-the-counter things. You swab your mouth and you put it in a little envelope and you send it back, right? Well, what I'm about to tell y'all is not about finding your long-lost cousin. It's about tracking a suspected unaliver. Dun, dun, dun. So if you've ever done one of these DNA tests for fun, child, get ready, because this could lead to a high-profile arrest and you don't even know it. All right. So before we get into how IGG actually works, you guys, we have to talk about the clue that started all of this for me, which made me go down a rabbit hole and try to understand exactly what this testing is and how this testing works. Right. So we're going to go back to Madison. We're going to go back to Ohio. Okay. We're going to go back to Moscow, Ohio. Is that what it's called? Child, it's late. Anyway, and we're going to zoom into the bedroom at 1122 King Road. And inside of the bedroom, there lies Madison Mogan and Kaylee Gonzalez. And the investigators found the military-style K-bar knife sheath. It was left behind and it was laying underneath Madison. Yep. And the crime scene techs, they had swabbed the button of the snap that was on the sheath, and they recovered a single source of male DNA, and they later labeled it as unknown male A. Now, pause for a second, because there's something that I haven't talked about, but it's something that people who follow this case actually know. You see, Kohberger's DNA wasn't the only DNA found. That's a negative. That's 9. There were other 2 males' DNA that was found in the house too, but maybe we'll do a deep dive on that another time. Y'all let me know in the comments if y'all want me to do a deep dive on that. But anyway, so when they swabbed it and they called it unknown male DNA A, they then took that DNA and they uploaded it into CODIS. Now, if you are familiar with anything that has to do with mysteries and murder programs and things of that nature, then you know what CODIS is. That's the FBI's national database, DNA database, right? But when they ran this DNA through it, they didn't get a hit at all. So they turned to a forensic tool that would completely reshape the direction of this case. And that's where the IGG comes in. Now, let's start at the top with what investigative genetic, I've been calling it, genetic genealogy is. So it's a forensic technique that combines DNA analysis and public genealogy database to help identify suspects, right? Especially they use this. Now, this is something that a lot of people don't know. They use this testing when traditional DNA matching hits a dead end. So that means that they could be looking for somebody and they don't have a match for it. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to go put this into the system where all of this DNA is sitting, right? But here's the thing, right? CODIS, more, how do I want to say? All right. So standard DNA tests, like the ones in the FBI's CODIS system, they use something called STRs, which are short tandem repeats. And these kind of give like a DNA fingerprint. So that means just like your fingerprints only match you, the DNA that the way they run this on those short tandem repeats is just like that. Your DNA matches you specifically and nobody else. But if the person's DNA isn't in the CODIS, that fingerprint that they're looking for is going to lead them to nowhere. So IGG uses a different type of testing called singular nucleoid polymorphism, or SNP testing. And this reads hundreds of thousands of markers. Now, the CODIS only does, I think it's 23 markers for their standard testing. So you don't really like, only you can match isn't identical. Nope, not even identical twins can match you because there's still going to be something off. DNA, when it comes down to that CODIS system, the way that they mark it, it's going to match. The twins have their own sets of DNA. So a twin, there's going to be a nodule that's off. But anyway, the IGG uses hundreds and thousands of markers instead of just the 23, and it goes across your genome, which is all of your genetics, and it goes further and goes deeper into your ancestry and family relationships. Now, how it's actually broken down and used is they go to a crime scene. The investigators will collect DNA left behind, right? In the Kohberger case, it was the DNA on the knife sheath, right? So they drop that DNA into the lab. They use a specialized lab, which specializes in DNA testing. They then extract and process the DNA using the IGG method instead of the CODIS method. And so instead of uploading the genealogy into a law enforcement database, it gets loaded up into a public genealogy database like GEDmatch and Family Tree DNA. So if you've ever used GEDmatch or Family Tree DNA, they may have your DNA there for this. And the reason I say they may is because you have to opt into it. All right. It's not like they just take it and they're just holding it. That's what they say, but I don't believe them because I think that they're just taking our DNA and they're housing it everywhere because why wouldn't they? Right. Now, if the crime scene DNA matches someone, even your third or fourth cousin, guys, the genetic genealogist is then going to build out a family tree using public records. And from there, they're going to go into obituaries and census data and even social media. And that's exactly what they do when they are doing this for your ancestry. So they use the same kind of technology, but they use it to build their own type of family tree for you. All right. And then from that tree, the investigators narrow it down to a suspect by age, location, gender, and criminal background, sometimes landing on a single name. And that's kind of what happened with Bryan Kohberger, right? So they didn't have a name. And they didn't like have anything from surveillance that actually put him there except for his car. They didn't have any witnesses and the DNA and CODIS didn't match. So they turned to this IGG. And at the time, the knife sheath had the DNA labeled on it as an unknown male, A, right? And it wasn't a match to anyone in the CODIS, so the police went the different route. And using the knife sheath DNA, they found distant relatives in a public database. Now, this is where that dirty Q-tip comes into play, you guys. It's a lot that I learned doing this and from watching the murder programs that have really like sent me spiraling and spinning. Okay. Hey, Bordeaux. Yeah, so basically they took his DNA, put it in there, and then through public records, they found some family members. And then based on where those relatives lived, their family tree and other data, and one name started floating up to the top. Okay, they started narrowing it down through all of those things. And the IGG, now get this, the IGG did not confirm that it was Kohberger. It only gave them a suspect name and it was used as like a clue. So they couldn't actually say that, yeah, this is confirmed. So that's when the police went back and started pulling surveillance footage and identifying and tracking the white Honda Elantra and reviewing his cell phone records. And then finally they collected that nasty Q-tip that his dad put in his ear and threw in the garbage. That's where they got it from. And if you did not know, because remember, we do have people that do watch that are younger, or at least we did. I don't know what's going on my channel right now, but Henny, keep going, right? When you throw things and discard things or you leave things around, like boom, I have this vape, I sit this vape down and leave it, I discard it. The police, if they're looking for me, they'll come with their little black glove and they'll scoop it up and they'll put it in a little bag and get it to the lab and they'll swab it for the DNA. So while the IGG didn't exactly solve the case alone, it did point law enforcement into the right direction when everything else had failed. And not only did it point them into the right direction, it was his dad that brought him down. Honestly, his DNA, his Q-tip. So now, if you've used Ancestry.com or 23andMe, you've done the same kind of DNA testing that they use in IGG. But the difference is 23andMe and Ancestry don't allow law enforcement to access their database. But public databases like GEDmatch and Family Tree DNA do, but only if the users opt into it. So if you don't opt into it, they're alleging that it won't go into a public database. But my question is, where do all of our DNA samples go for those people who have taken those tests? Like, where does it go? Do they just really discard it in some biohazard box? Or does it go into some secret mystery database that is now helping the police to actually go and you just distracted me. Where your DNA test goes until they actually need it to solve a case. Now, because this tool is so powerful and it's invasive, this is damn near, it ain't even damn near. This is all the way invasive, you guys, okay? The U.S. Department of Justice created strict guidelines back in 2019. And in their policy, they said that IGG can only be used by traditional methods they can only be used when traditional methods fail, and only for violent crimes or unidentified human remains. And that agencies have to document every step and show probable cause before a warrant. They also have to prove that the labs and the data, they have to use approved labs and databases. So they can't just go to any random lab. They can't just go to their local neighborhood lab. They have to go to specific ones that are designated to do this kind of testing for law enforcement. And then any leads must be independently verified, like Kohberger's, like how they went into the trash and they got the Q-tip and ran the DNA. That's how they can do that. That's the only way that they can verify things. They cannot actually get a warrant for somebody to take their DNA from them to test it against somebody who's a possible family member or relative of theirs. They have to independently get that. So anything you discard, they're coming for it. And basically what they're saying, what the Department of Justice said, this is a last resort. And you cannot use this first. So they have to go and do their due diligence. But Kohberger's defense attorney later filed what's called a Franks motion. And we heard about a Franks motion because we heard that in the Cuffy Gatling case. And he was arguing that the police withheld the fact that Bryan's name came from an IGG when requesting the search warrant. So what does that all mean? It meant that because it challenges whether the warrant, including the one for his trash, were truly backed by independent probable cause. Because now what his lawyer is saying is, how could this be independent probable cause when you use this method to actually narrow it down to him? And once you've narrowed it down to him, that's how you were able to get warrants to be able to collect trash and all of these types of things. So how is this really independent? And I kind of question that too, because how is it independent? Because had you not done this IGG testing, you would have never even bothered to go looking in his father's garbage to try to match the DNA. But the defense claimed that the judge was misled by this information and that the prosecution, well, they argued it was just a tip. And everything after that, including surveillance, cell phone data, and DNA confirmation, followed standard legal procedures. But again, I go back to, how would you even have gotten his cell phone data? How would you have narrowed him down to having the Hyundai Elantra? How would you have done any of this stuff if you did not run his DNA through the IGG? So I actually agree with the defense in this, because y'all invaded privacy. But this is not the only case where they used IGG. The first time ever that they used IGG was for a very famous serial unaliver. Can y'all guess who it is? I want to know, where my true crime buffs at? I'm going to give you a clue. Between 1974 and 1986, this unknown man committed a series of unalivings, rapes, and burglaries in California. Do 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 do. I need my soundboard back. You guys give up? I'm just going to tell you anyway. Yes, Crash Out. I knew you was going to get it. They used this for the very first time in the Golden State Unalivers. She said Marilyn Manson. He kind of looks like him now, an older version. She said, shoot, I was just a baby. Listen, 74, I wasn't around. I didn't come until 8 years later. Yes, the Night Stalker. Yes, yes, yes. So before Bryan Kohberger, before the Idaho 4, this was the case that shocked the entire true crime world. And it was the very first time that IGG was ever used to catch a suspect. So he was known as the Golden State Killer, the East Area Grapist, and the original Night Stalker. Now, like I told y'all a minute ago, between 1974 and 86, he committed 13 unalivings, 50 rapes, and over 100 burglaries across California. He terrorized neighborhoods. He stalked his victims. He left behind DNA. But for over 40 years, 40 years. No one could identify him, even though he was leaving DNA behind. Then in 2018, this is when IGG came into the play. So investigators were working the cold case and they used the IGG for the very first time. They uploaded a preserved DNA sample into GED match and got a hit. It wasn't a suspect, it was a distant cousin. From there, genetic genealogists built a massive family tree, working their way down until they landed on Joseph James D'Angelo, a former cop who had lived in several of the attack areas at the time. Did y'all know that he was a former cop? Yes. Dun, dun, dun. Anyway, they followed him and they collected a discarded tissue from his trash and ran the DNA, and it was a match. So he was arrested in April of 2018 after decades of silence, dead ends, and fear, you guys. In 2020, D'Angelo pled guilty to 13 unalivings and admitted to dozens more crimes. He's now serving life in prison without parole. That moment wasn't just justice for all of those people. It was a paradigm shift for law enforcement, because that was the first time that they ever used this technology. And it proved that even the coldest case could be cracked wide open with IGG, and a little fire under dozens of departments across the country it lit a fire for them to open up the unsolved files. Now, this next case of IGG, this is crazy, okay? Not long after the Golden State unaliver, another heartbreaking cold case was cracked, you guys. This time it involved a newborn found in Michigan campgrounds. Now, it was June 1997, and a full-term infant was discovered in a remote outhouse pit at Garnet Lake Campgrounds in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. She became known as Baby Garnett because of this, right? Now, if you haven't heard of Baby Garnett, we can definitely dive in on her. But anyway, so the case went cold for like 2 decades. And then in 2017, investigators reopened and submitted Baby Garnett's DNA to a private lab using IGG, the same technique that had identified D'Angelo. Well, wait a minute, because he was done in 18. So, well, I guess because they didn't really get a hit until later on. So investigators, use the same technique that they used, but in 2022, genealogical analysts pointed to Nancy Gerwatsky. I don't know, Gowatowski. She got a funny last name. I'm sorry. But this woman was living in Wyoming and was later identified as Baby Garnett's mother. Okay. A genealogist had also reached out to Nancy's granddaughter, Jenna Rose, after a casual ancestry test revealed a link. And Jenna took to TikTok sharing how her DNA led the Michigan State Police to her grandmother. Now, the thing is, Gina tells her story, and she says, her friend brought one of these DNA kits, and she decided to get a DNA kit for herself. And so she took it, she swabbed it, she sent it in, and then the next thing you know, she's getting called because they were asking her for her password. And she thought that it was bogus, but she had a family member that worked closely with law enforcement, and boom. That let her know that it wasn't a lie. Her mother was like, oh, I could see that being my mom. And yeah, she said that she was mind blown, and she literally she was shocked that the person that they were looking for 25 years was her grandmother. And it was all because of an ancestry DNA kit. Now, in 2022, Nancy was charged with open unaliving, involuntary manslaughter, and concealing an unaliving, right? Prosecutors allege that the newborn passed of asphyxiation, possibly preventable with medical care, and was then left in the house. And she faces life in prison if convicted. Now, her attorneys have said that she had a rough delivery and that the baby got stuck in the birthing canal. And it was so rough that she passed out. And when she woke up, she finished delivering the baby and she got scared because the baby was not alive. And she went and took it to the campgrounds and she discarded it. She was young when it happened. I don't know. Back in the day, this is something that was very common. It's not very common in these days, but for us, Brenda had a baby. She threw the baby in the trash and then she went back and got the baby. But seems like that's what happened. But it's a reminder that IGG isn't just about catching violent crimes. It can bring long overdue justice to even the smallest of crimes, right? Now, IGG is still new and it's still controversial, but critics raise real questions, just like we raise real questions. Like, where do y'all draw the line between justice and surveillance? Okay, because it's feeling like we're under surveillance now. And if a relative uploads their DNA, are you now exposed? Like, are you exposed because somebody else done did it? And what happens when the tech is used without oversight? Like, y'all could use this technology and what? How do we know what's really going on? Now, in the Kohberger case, it helped to catch the suspect. In the Baby Garnett, it identified the newborn's family. But in the wrong hands, it could actually violate rights or bring unintended consequences, you guys. So this case was far more than one suspect or one tragedy. It's about the future of how law enforcement investigates violent crimes. And IGG is fast becoming the most powerful and most debated tool in the justice system. So what do you guys think? Do you think investigative genetic genealogy is the future of justice or the beginning of a privacy nightmare? Because I think it's the beginning of a privacy nightmare. Because, like, what are you talking about here? We're talking about what, Oregi? We're talking about people taking our DNA that we're doing something else with and possibly using it. Crash Out said with the happy face unaliver, they used it to find some of his victims' family members. Yeah. They use it to find family of adopted kids. But see, that right there, I can understand that, Miss Pammy, using it to find adopted children's family members and stuff like that. I can understand that. But we're talking about if my long lost cousin, my fourth or fifth cousin, goes out here and unalives somebody, and my DNA is in one of these DNA banks or whatever, public domains, I don't know what to call it, and they run it, they can then use my DNA without my consent to now track down my fifth cousin and then get their DNA and see if it matches. And if it does, then now we're going to arrest you. But meanwhile, I didn't give you permission to use my DNA to even track down my fifth cousin. You just took my DNA and used it without my consent. You see what I'm saying? Like, this is a slippery slope. And at this point, I just ask, when does justice go too far? Like, when does it go too far? I don't know. Let me see what y'all been saying up in here. I thought he passed last year or this year. I think he has cancer. I don't know. I think he has cancer too. Henny, have you saw the teddy bear made out of skin? No, I did not. Who had that? Who did that and why? I'm so traumatized by that. She said, child, Oregon and Washington had a lot of serial unalivers. My aunt was in jail with one of the survivors of the Green River. Are you serious? Y'all, let me tell y'all, if y'all don't know about who the Green River unaliver is, baby, let me give y'all a little lesson in the Green River unaliver. So this is a man who was raping and unaliving people. And if I'm not mistaken, he was throwing them in the river, right? And they were washing up on shore. He was unaliving them by the river. I can't really remember exactly because it's been a minute since I heard this story. But the part that stuck out to me the most was this man was going out and raping and unaliving people. And he had a whole wife and children and a whole regular life. Like, he had a job. He was getting up, going to work every day. So you're getting up, going to work and you have a whole family. How are you doing this? So you go to work, all right, honey, see you later. Kiss your wife, kiss your kids. And then you go out into the car, you go to work. You're like, hey, Bob. You're talking to him at work or whatever, and everybody, hey, Jim, you're just having a regular day at work, and then 5 o'clock is done, and you're driving home on the freeway, and you're in traffic, and you're listening to your music and bopping, and then you pull into your driveway. And you pull into your driveway, you go in the house, you pet the dog, you kiss the kids, you kiss your wife, honey, I'm home. You sit down, you have dinner with your wife and your kids, and then you tuck the kids into bed. I'll be right back, honey. And you leave out the house, you go grape somebody and unalive them, then come back and like nothing ever happened. And you get up tomorrow and you go to work and you kiss the kids and you what? And everybody was so surprised. They were surprised. That's what I was about to say. Shocked and surprised. What you say? The pros and cons to it, like being deported by Donald Trump. Oh, Lord. I don't like that. Right. I don't think I like it either. Seen that? Send it to you. They can possibly use this to decide to use it against you, getting insurance or charge you higher. Ooh, I didn't think about that. Hey, Sherm. Hey, Swag. Hey, everybody. Henny History Lesson 2.0. Man, listen. Crazy work. Dog have freedom. A lot of them have a whole life. I mean. Child. What if I had an oath with my fifth cousin that neither of us was allowed to get pinched? Then you use my DNA that I did for Ancestry to figure out what percentage of Native American I am, and you used it too. Listen, this is what I'm saying. His wife was cheating because she ain't never questioned him. No, this is what I'm saying. He lived such a regular, normal life that the community was actually shocked that it was him. Like, they were shocked. They could not believe it because nobody saw any signs of this. His wife was like, I don't even understand. Well, what I really think happened was once the kids went to bed and he put the wife to bed, or the wife went to bed on her own. Once she was asleep, I think he crept up out of there, did his thing, came back, washed himself up, took a shower, got back into bed with her, and then went to sleep. And she probably never thought anything of it because she just figured that he got up in the middle of the night and took a shower. But it's just crazy. I don't know who the wife is. I just know that I saw that, and I saw everybody was so discombobulated because it was like, oh no, I can't believe it's him. Oh yes, it's him. That's why I be looking at my neighbors sideways, because you never know. They be out there waving and smiling. How many people you got under your house? Will your family's genetic DNA catch you, and then your house is surrounded by cops and you're being taken out? Mm-mm. I worked at a mental hospital with Ward Weaver, who barred his daughter's friend and put her in a hot tub. Oh, what? See, this is crazy. This is crazy work to me. Who does that? Who does that? Anyway, can you imagine getting that knock on your door to be told someone in your family has been Michael Myers? Don't make me laugh. Crazy. She ain't never smelled. What? Listen, Swagger, I don't think that that's their thing. I don't think that's their thing. We do that. Come here, let me smell you. Now, Swagger, you just told on yourself. You've had that happen to you. You've had to have that happen to you. That means that you was out there slipping and dipping or sneaking and geeking. You just told on yourself. So she never asked him. No, apparently she never asked him that question. Never. Nope. But I found this information quite interesting, and I'm quite sure other people have talked about it in their lives. But I know when I asked people on my IG live if they had ever heard of this testing, they didn't know anything about that. So I was like, all right, you know what? Let me just do a live on it. And so I did. But back then oral wasn't done by the wife. Yeah, that didn't become a thing. That wasn't something that everybody ran around bragging about doing. You know what I mean? I'm saying he coming in late. You know he couldn't have. You couldn't have a black girl. But we don't know. Maybe he was giving her a sleeping pill. I don't know. But he was somehow or another sneaking out that house and going to go do this thing. Maybe his wife didn't enjoy having intimate relations with him. So she didn't care if he was out there doing it. That's a possibility too. You know, sometimes we just don't care. We know what you're doing, but we don't care because we ain't got to do it. You suck at it. You suck at it all the way. I don't want to do it. You got somebody else to do it. I'm happy. Thank you. Thank you. Vanessa said Google, Oregon, Washington, and Idaho of serial unalivings and pet. I really don't want to. I'm scared because that section of the country is just scary to me. Listen, if you live in the Midwest or in any of those areas that she just meant, I don't want no parts. I don't. Man, black men don't cheat. If you don't get out of here, if you don't get out of here with that Dr. Umar ideology, that's a lie. That is a lie. She wasn't checking his drawers either, huh? Nope, she sure wasn't. She sure wasn't. It's a lot of them control their wives. That's true. Yeah, I'm done as well with Swagger. I don't know what else to say to him. I don't know. I was told don't cheat if she don't have a shower. See, and that's gonna get you jammed up every time because you're gonna come in there smelling like Dove, and she uses oil of Olay. That's gonna get you jammed up every time, sir. Mm-mm. Nope. And guess what? Even when y'all take that shower, y'all still be leaving something behind. It be something that lets us know. And you know where you been messing up at? I'ma give the men free game. Y'all be messing up because your stroke don't be stroking how it was stroking before. You start stroking like you cheating, like that, like how you be stroking that other chick. You do something. You touch us the wrong way, you kiss us in the wrong spot, and we know because you just off kilt with it. And I'm gonna tell you something. When you start getting them eyes rolled at you in the dark, that's a whole nother beast. Cause she be sitting there in her head while you doing your do. You doing your big one, and she just sitting there like, no, for a fact, this ain't even. Oh, let me moan. Matter of fact, let me turn over and let him get the back shot. So I could just really just. I need him to hurry up and be done because I'm not even enjoying this because I know. Mhm. I'm just saying. Our radar goes off. So you can do all that showering and all that other stuff you want to. Jaws be inside out like we can't see our arm backwards. And you know when you wear socks, they curve one way to your feet. Now your socks look like they done been on the wrong feet, like you just switched your socks. Listen, we be looking at everything. Okay. What's that on your shoulder up here? Mm-hmm. And we don't always say something. We just build a case. That looked like foundation. I don't wear foundation. He got a little smudge right here. And it'd be a little microscopic little piece of smudge on your white shirt, and we see it. And we don't say nothing. We don't say nothing. We go to bed, turn our back to you, and we don't want you to touch us. Because we ain't poking the booty out. We don't want you to touch us. The booty is tucked in. The nightgown is on and tucked under the booty and tucked between the legs so you can't get. And we laying there like, I know I seen that. Now let me think about this, because he said that he was going such and such. When he go to sleep, I'm going to search his car. I'm going to figure this out. And then y'all get sloppy because y'all think we don't see, but we see. And then y'all start doing stuff and getting too comfortable and lackadaisical. And then we find out. Right. You got pants on, and where your drawers at? This is what I'm saying. Y'all mess it up. Y'all be messing it up. You come in smelling like a different deodorant. You smell like female deodorant, and it ain't even mine. That hoe still wearing Tussie and Secret. Yeah, I wear Degree. No offense to Secret. Secret is still a good one. Right, Nikki? Nikki Lynn said that part, building the case. We be building the case. Listen, we are natural detectives, baby. And if we can't figure it out, we got a homegirl that can figure it out. She gonna be like, let me see that real quick. She gonna zoom in. She gonna be like, oh, I know exactly where that's taken at. And then she gonna pull it up on Google and say, see here, this where he was at. Now go look at his Instagram. See, his picture is there the same day. On his Instagram, he was there with his homeboys. But look, right there in the corner of her picture, that's the same background. She was there, and that's posted the same day. She was there with him. All his homeboys know too. They all smiling in your face, girl. Vonda said, don't give up everything. I don't even know how we got here. We're supposed to be talking about, we've already talked about the investigative genetic genealogy testing that they're using now to catch crime, kill unalivers and stuff like that. And I guess because we started talking about the Green River unaliver and how he had a whole wife and was doing all types of stuff. Sherm, you gonna forget. Listen, it don't matter. We could tell y'all that ain't even all of it, honey, because this rabbit hole go deep on all of that. Okay. There's a whole lot that I could tell you that I ain't told you. I just told y'all a little bit. I can't tell all the secrets, like Nikki said. Don't be telling them all the secrets now, girl. Ain't got enough sense to have a backup soap. Nah, we can't tell them what to do. No free game. No free game. Don't give them no free game. Uniquely said you taking notes for yourself. Okay. Before Google Maps, you would have thought I had a tracker in a person. Listen, we be knowing. We be knowing. Uh-oh. He said got caught cheating because it took me a minute. That's what you get. That's what you get. But DNA is taking from people upon incarceration. That is true. But see, the thing is, when they take the DNA when you get incarcerated, that goes into CODIS. Like it goes into the database. So then when they throw that DNA into that database, it's going to come back with a hit or a match. If it's not in there, if they throw your DNA into the database and nothing comes back, they're going to turn to this IGG stuff. And that's how they start building their cases. They've already been doing it. I just read it. They started doing it in 2017. And the first case that actually was solved from this was the Golden State unaliver. That's how they caught him, through the IGG. They found his third cousin and then started narrowing down the DNA until they got to the person who lived in the area or whatever. However they narrow it down, I don't know because I don't work there. But they narrow it all the way down until they get a name or they get close enough to a person, or what they'll do is once they do this genetic DNA thingy, they go and try to collect the DNA sample from something that you discarded. They actually get a warrant to go get your trash. So they take your trash and they go through it and find something with your DNA on it. And boom, they use that and compare it to what they came up with the IGG. And if there's a match, there's your criminal. But I didn't give that. I submitted my DNA for you to tell me how much percentage of Irish I have in me and how much Native American I have in me, not for you to go figure out the crimes that have been committed by family members. I don't even know this person. I don't even know them. I don't know my third cousin. I don't know my fifth cousin. And you gonna take my DNA and use it against my will? If I find out that my DNA was used to track somebody down, or that a family member of mine got trapped up in some IGG stuff, we suing. I ain't opt into nothing. I ain't opt into law enforcement using none of my stuff from none of them places that I used. I don't even recall getting anything that says that I opt in or opt out. I don't recall any of that with ancestry.com. I don't recall that with MyHeritage or African Ancestry. I did not opt in for law enforcement to use my DNA to solve a crime. So if you use my DNA to solve a crime and I find out that you used my DNA to solve a crime, prepare for me to sue you because I did not authorize you to use my DNA. Period. And a lot of people probably opt into law enforcement using their DNA, not knowing that this is how they were going to use their DNA. They thought maybe if I turn up missing, they'll be able to figure out who I am. Or if I end up, God forbid, being in a serious accident, they'll be able to find out who I am based off of this DNA evidence, this information. They can identify me. They weren't thinking that they opted into helping them solve crimes for distant family members they don't know about. Imagine this. Imagine you did a DNA test and your child committed a crime and they used your DNA from your ancestry test to lock up your child. Now you done worked with 12. How you explaining this to your kid? Nah, man, something ain't right. That ain't right. That ain't right. But you know, I also do conspiracy theory coming in, tinfoil Koofy. I also wonder if they use our DNA to do other things with it. Like, people keep saying that they see somebody or they know somebody who looks just like me. I've heard this a lot of times. Oh, I know somebody that looked just like you, or I seen a girl that looked just like you. You want to know what stopped people from looking just like me? My locks. Now, when my hair was curly and all of that, oh yeah, I was getting that all the time. People saying they seen somebody that looked like me. I don't know if they taking our DNA and they making clone people or whatever. I don't know. But if there's a clone of me out there that's a millionaire, slide your girl a couple mil. I won't tell nobody. I'm just saying. Let's see. Tomorrow morning, yo, clone out here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., I think we're going to bring back a little spiked coffee. But the only thing is with spiked coffee, we kind of gossip a little bit. And we kind of talk about people like Whack 100. Are y'all missing me dragging old three-finger duty shooter? Because I kind of don't miss it, but... And I haven't been gossipy. I haven't been talking about a lot of trending topics. I don't know. But I think I should bring back spiked coffee in the morning. That ninja police out this world. Make sure you catch Donald Trump crashing out, acting like a girl. Oh, he's the white Whack 100. That's smart. Yep. So, shout out to Crash Out. Shout out to Crash Out. Because before I let go, Na, na, na. Na, 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 na. Before I let go, I've got to bring y'all this. Now, I didn't plan on talking about Trunk, but I have to talk about Trunk. Now, if you were here earlier, then you know that Crash Out had sent some notification that the Wall Street Journal was trying to release an article on Trunk. And when we ended the live, guess what they did? The article on Trunk. Let me put my watermark because people been having a hard time getting this because the Wall Street Journal wants you to pay for it. All right. So I'm going to be doing a video on it, but this is the article, you guys. And in this article, they actually talk about a letter that, okay, so boom. I don't know what it is about 50th birthdays, but apparently it was this guy's 50th birthday, Epstein. And so Ghislaine decided that she wanted to make a book for him. And it was a leather bound book that had letters from people in there. And allegedly there's a letter in there from Donald Trump. And let me see. Where is it at? All right, we're going to read this right here. The letter bearing Trump's name was reviewed by the Journal, is bawdy like others in the album. It contains several lines of typewritten text framed by the outline of a naked woman, which appears to be hand-drawn with a heavy marker. A pair of small arcs denote the woman's breast, and the future president's signature is squiggly, Donald, below her waist, mimicking public hairs. The letter concludes, "Happy birthday, and make every day another wonderful secret." Now, of course, Trump denies it, and he said he never wrote a picture in his life. He don't draw pictures of women. It's not his language. It's not his words. So Trump is denying this letter's authenticity, and he actually said that he is going to threaten the Wall Street Journal. He said that this is a fake Wall Street Journal article, and he's going to sue them like everybody else he sued. That's what it is. She said I'm trying to make up a word to feel about little boy Trunk. Listen. I'm just, at this point in time, I'm just going to say this. I'm not surprised by anything. Y'all are going to get a video on this. Okay. Y'all are going to get a video on this. I can't. This is diabolical. You know, I feel like he's trying to denounce that he ever had any dealings with this man, but you can't get around it. You can't get away from it. You can't stop the rain. He can't stop the rain. We know you've been around him. And there's more. Oh my God, there's so much more to this. But anyway, let's not get off topic, you guys. We already went off topic a lot in this video. But thank you for tapping in and tuning in with your girl. Hopefully this was educational. Hopefully it was entertaining at the same time. For those of you who already knew about this type of testing, maybe this was a refresher for you. I don't know. Maybe you guys didn't know anything about the Golden State Unaliver. Maybe you didn't know anything about Baby Garnett, but now you've learned about them, and yeah. So With that being said, if you have not done any type of ancestry testing, my advice to you is don't. Don't even do it to yourself. Because this is the society that we're moving into where nothing is sacred, not even your DNA. They're coming for it. But anyway, love is always love, you guys. And thank you for bearing with me as I transition into something new. I have some thinking to do. And once I do that, I will get back to y'all. But anyway, when y'all rest well. And remember that love is always love. And I will see y'all in the next video. Good night, everybody.